Listen up, Commanders fans. Today we've got one of those game-changing pieces of news that could turn our season around. There's a strategic move happening with the coaching staff, and it just might be the key to dominating our next matchup against the Cardinals. Could this be the ace up our sleeve to kick off the season strong? And if you thought the surprises were over, hold tight. We've got an update on our star running back. We all know injuries keep us on edge, but we've got some crucial news about his status for Week 4. Will he be ready to hit the field, or are we going to have to look for other options? But that's not all. There's a rookie on the offensive line making waves. This left tackle has been improving at an insane pace and is starting to catch some attention. Could this young talent be the missing piece we need to protect our quarterback? We'll break it all down for you in a moment, but before we dive deeper, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay on top of every move our Commanders make. Don't miss out and join our family of die-hard fans. So, you already know, stick with us to catch every detail of these updates that could define our season. Let's go all in, Commanders. Listen up, Commanders Nation. The Washington Commanders are about to face off against the Arizona Cardinals, and let me tell you something, this isn't just any game. Let's cut to the chase. Cliff Kingsbury, the guy who used to be the Cardinals' head coach and watched Kyler Murray grow, is now with our team. So here's my first question. Is this an advantage or a distraction? I'm telling you right now, it's absolutely an advantage. Why? Because Kingsbury knows Kyler Murray inside and out. He coached him when he first entered the league, watched him turn into one of the most dynamic and dangerous quarterbacks around. And let's be real, Kingsbury is going to give the team every bit of useful intel he's got. But is that enough? Because we all know Kyler. He's slippery and he can torch you inside or outside the pocket. So how are we going to stop him? That's the real question. Now let me ask you, do we really know Kyler Murray as well as we think? I think we do. But here's where things get interesting. Kingsbury hasn't worked with Marvin Harrison Jr., the Cardinals' new explosive weapon. Harrison had a slow debut, only catching one ball for 4 yards in his first game against the Bills, but don't get it twisted. This kid has turned it up since then. 9 catches, 194 yards, and 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games. So what does that mean for us? Let me be clear. The Commanders' secondary is about to be tested big time. Now some folks might think, well, with Kingsbury on board we've got a massive edge, but don't get too hyped. Harrison is the X factor here. Sure, Kingsbury can give our defense tips, help us understand how Kyler improvises plays, but this receiver, he's a whole new problem for us. So the big question is, can we contain this explosive duo? I'll tell you this, yes, we can. But it all depends on how our defensive coordinator adjusts the coverage. And let's be clear, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Not at all. Kyler and Harrison can tear apart any defensive scheme if you give them space. We cannot let that happen. If the D-line doesn't pressure Kyler, if we don't force him into mistakes, we're in trouble. So for me, this week is all about defensive execution and, most importantly, discipline. What did I tell y'all last week? Jaden Daniels is no fairy tale. It's the real deal, and we're watching it unfold right before our eyes. 14. Yes, 14. That's how many consecutive times this offense has scored without even needing the kicker. And now, we just took down Cincinnati, a team most folks had as the favorite. But here we are, 2-1 after what looked like a rough start in Week 1 against Tampa Bay. Let me tell you something. This Commanders streak is no fluke. Now let's talk about Austin Eckler. Worried about his injury? Yeah, of course. He left in the 3rd quarter and didn't return. That's serious. A head injury, a lacerated ear, y'all tell me, is that something to take lightly? I'm telling you it's not. It's a huge blow for this team, even though he wasn't the main piece in the offense. But come on, it's Austin Eckler. We all know what he can do catching out of the backfield. And while he wasn't a big factor in that game, his presence is always crucial for moving the chains. So now the big question is, how does this impact Washington? That's where things get interesting. Eckler didn't travel with the team to Arizona. He went back to Ashburn for more tests. And I ask you this, what do we do if Eckler can't go on Sunday? Because while Brian Robinson Jr. is off to a great start this season, you can't underestimate Eckler's experience and versatility. And listen, it's not like he was lighting up the stat sheet, but those 24 yards and his touchdown before leaving, That was a taste of what he's capable of. And here's what I'm telling you. This team is going to feel his absence if Eckler isn't available on Sunday. Sure, Robinson is the workhorse, but Eckler is the guy who can shift a defense in a single play. The million-dollar question is, how do we replace him if he's out? Quinn, our head coach, has some big decisions to make. We know Daniels and McLaurin can connect deep, and yeah, that gave us life against Cincinnati. But if Eckler's not there, the whole game plan changes. Do we take more risks in the air, or do we take Robinson to carry the ground game? Now let me get back to Jaden Daniels. This guy is making history. History! Let me hit you with a stat that'll blow your mind. Daniels has done in 2 consecutive games what Manning, Brady, Breeze, and Mahomes combined for in their careers. How many drives without punting? 14. That's something we can't overlook. And the best part is we're not just scoring, we're finishing in the red zone. Against the Giants, we couldn't find the end zone, but now, every time we get there, we're putting 6 on the board. That's how you win games in this league. So here's my question. Do you think this pace is sustainable? Because don't get it twisted, tougher defenses are coming. We're heading to Arizona, and then we've got teams that are going to adjust, teams that are going to study this new Kingsbury-Daniels scheme. But here's what I'm saying. If we keep this up, with the same confidence and execution in key moments, this team is going to shock a lot of people. And if you don't believe me, just ask the Bengals how Monday night went for them. Look, the Daniels-McLaurin connection is starting to blossom. We saw it on that deep ball late in the fourth quarter. It was the dagger that closed out the game. And that's exactly what we've been expecting from McLaurin, right? A guy who can dominate downfield, and now we're finally seeing it. Commanders, what's going on here? I'm telling you this, Brandon Coleman is rising fast. This guy, this 6'6", 320-pound rookie, was the 67th pick in the draft, and believe me, Washington is starting to see results. The big question is, why hasn't Coleman been a starter yet? What's happening with this offensive line? Look, in the first 3 games of the season, Coleman hasn't started, but he's been on the field for 65 offensive snaps. That's 34% of the playing time, and the trend is clear. It's going up. He went from 14 plays in Week 1 against Tampa Bay to 22 against the Giants, and then 29 against the Bengals. What does that tell you? I'm telling you, this kid is taking charge. How do I know? He hasn't committed a single penalty in these 3 games. For a rookie, that's impressive, especially at the offensive tackle position. Now, here's where I start asking the questions all you Commanders fans should be asking. Is this the player we need to protect our quarterback long-term? I believe so. Is Brandon Coleman the solution for an offensive line that has honestly had its ups and downs? I'm telling you, if he keeps playing like this, he better be. Coach Dan Quinn has said it. Coleman's arrow is pointing up, and that can't be ignored. You know what that means for Cornelius Lucas? It means his time as a starter is numbered, folks. And look, Lucas has done a decent job, but let's not kid ourselves. When a rookie like Coleman starts getting more snaps, that's a clear signal. What's Washington's plan here? I'm telling you, they're going to rotate these 2 guys. And if Coleman keeps progressing like he has, I ask you, shouldn't this kid be starting already? We're talking about a player who's dealt with a pectoral injury since training camp, but he's getting back to his best form. And sure, the team has taken it slow with him, giving him time on the field, but the reality is that Coleman is 1 step away from taking full control of that position. This Sunday, when the Commanders face the Cardinals, don't be surprised if you see him play more than Lucas. Stop for a second and answer this. Is Cliff Kingsbury the secret weapon we really need to beat the Cardinals? Or do you think his knowledge is no longer enough against the evolution of his team? I believe we have what it takes to win, but what do you all think? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's talk about the defense. Do you think this team can contain Kyler Murray and Harrison? Or is it going to be a monumental task that requires a miracle? Drop your predictions and thoughts below because your opinions matter. Here, we're all part of this family that follows the team every step of the way this season. And on the offensive side, I ask you, does Brandon Coleman deserve to be a starter to protect our QB? I say yes, but I want to hear your opinion. Is it time to give him the keys to the offensive line, or do we stick with Lucas? Don't hold back. Share your thoughts. So here's my proposal. A daily video summarizing the most important news for Commanders fans. If you're as passionate about this team as I am, subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and share it with other Commanders fans. Join this great community, this family, where we analyze every play, every victory, and every challenge together. Don't miss out, and remember, hail to the Redskins!